Welcome to another episode of Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe. That includes the movies. We've even talked some comic books, and we definitely watched the streaming shows. And boy, howdy, I've been really enjoying Moon Knight. So we're going episode by episode. We're talking about Moon Knight. We talked about the first episode, and here we are talking about episode 2, Summon the Suit. Ooh. Kind of a spoiler on the title.
Yeah, right.
My name's Manuel.
My name is Sophia.
And, Summon the Suit. That sounds like what I tell the dry cleaner.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of comedy you're going to get.
Here we go. Off to a great start.
Okay. And sometimes I tell the dry cleaner, where is my suit? Mm-hmm. Because they lose it. Okay. Oh, boy. All right. I shouldn't have done that second one, huh?
It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, Moon Knight is really kicking off, and I feel like fairly quickly, too. We've got a lot going on in this episode. Of course, all the different personalities, but we spent a lot of time with Arthur Harrow in this episode, and It does feel like things are moving quite a bit. What do you think about this episode?
Yeah, okay, so this episode, I feel like there was a lot more explaining and a lot of, talking and a lot of realizations for everybody involved, and we're only in episode 2.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of exciting. What happens now?
It was really crazy. So, I didn't realize that Mark Spector was going to have this much of an open communication, with, oh my gosh, please tell me his first name. Steven, thank you so much. I don't even know why I blinked on that. Wow, we're really off to a great start. Okay, no, but I had no idea that Steven and Mark were going to be able to talk to each other so much, and having Steven recognize Mark at literally different times, constantly almost, and also having Steven realize that this is something that he is actually in control of versus having less control of when he's able to shift and summon the suit.
Well, that's one of the cool things that we learned here. It's whatever personality is in the body the longest, or as you're in the body, you're gaining power.
Right.
And we learned this, and Steven, I guess, hasn't had a lot of time in the body, not as much as Mark. And Mark tells him, hey,
straight up,
you're getting more powerful, and you're able to resist me more because you've been in the body for so long. And I think that's it's part of the deal too. Mark tells Steven, if you let me finish this mission that Khonshu has me on, you can have the body. I'm done.
Right. I'm just here for this one thing.
Yeah, but of course, AKA, Arthur, to his credit, is Khonshu doesn't necessarily keep all his promises. So.
Yeah.
And that's something from the comic book. There is a constant push and pull, and of course,
with Khonshu,
you can't trust these Egyptian gods.
You can't do it as much as you want to. You can't trust these really creepy Egyptian gods.
Well, speaking
that just stalk you.
This, I think, the Khonshu stuff is my favorite we talked about the conversation through reflection between Arthur and Steven, but the Khonshu stuff,
dude, that's intense.
Is great. There's good. F. Murray Abraham is the voice, really great voice actor. But there's moments where it seems like it's going to be like a full-on scary thing, monster,
right,
in a creepy hallway.
Yeah.
But even the conversations that they have with Khonshu and Steven, where Khonshu's normally up on a roof or far away in the shadows,
right.
And then suddenly he's right behind him. But it's so good, and I love it, and it feels very different from other types of Jekyll and Hyde stuff that we've seen before.
The Khonshu stuff this episode, it's more, like you said, creepy versus scary. I wanted to be scared more, but I have to, I was reminded very quickly that this is on Disney Plus, so it's not going to be super scary.
I will say in the beginning it gets scary, but I think once Steven knows who it is, it's not
that's what I was going to talk about. After having his discussion with, is it August? August, yeah, right?
Who's that?
Is it not August? Angus? God, what is his name?
Angus.
Glass feet.
Arthur.
I
was like, who's
so
Angus?
Bad with names. Angus?
Hello, I'm Angus.
The Irishman? Okay, no, but...
Angus, the Irishman?
Yeah, isn't Angus an Irish name? Is it not? Is it Scottish?
Move on.
Sorry. Anyways, I'm terrible with names, so sorry. But no, yeah, so after he has the conversation... Oh my God, it's happening again. What is it?
Arthur.
Arthur. I need to think about Arthur like, hey, hey.
If it's easier for you, you can say Ethan Hawke, who is the actor.
What is that the cartoon Arthur? Hey.
It's Arthur.
What is the theme song? It's an
And
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, I digress. No, but after he has a conversation with Arthur and he realizes like, oh, Khonshu really can't do anything like physically like to hurt Steven, like because he like does the whole wind tricks and he's like yelling it through his ear, and Arthur's just sort of like, oh, is he saying this? Oh, is he being real sassy?
That was really cool. Yeah.
Is he being real sassy right now? He's just upset because he can't touch you. And he was like, he even says at one point like, oh, he's just throwing a temper tantrum, and I was like, oh my gosh, like zero fucks given by Mr. Arthur towards
And Arthur
Khonshu.
knows this because he is an avatar.
He used to be an avatar
himself too. Yeah. And he's working for Amit, another god who well, we'll get to that towards the end.
Yeah, right.
Wants to wreak a little bit of havoc and I guess judgment on the planet on his own, which is really interesting.
But I think that was a turning point for me because it was like, well, actually, Arthur's right. Homeboy over here is right. Like he really can't like no touchy, you know, like he can't do all that.
Yeah. And that relationship has been really interesting in how fast it's progressed. And I feel like, we've definitely just scratched the surface when it comes to Khonshu and I suppose what his motives are, because it seems like just self-preservation right now. He just wants to survive. He doesn't have necessarily an end goal as much as Amit does, because we see him judging people, starting like a. What would you think about Arthur's cult? It's like a cult family / neighborhood. Like everyone's sharing stuff, which is nice. They've got a projection of dolphins swimming. And everyone's like really
peaceful.
Yeah, very peaceful. And I think partially it's because they all just, skirted death a little bit because they were supposed to. They were judged by, Amit.
Via Arthur.
Via Arthur. So I'm sure they feel just really satisfied by it or I guess relieved that they're alive. But what do you think about the cult in general?
I feel like maybe they have a sense of them being like a higher being because they're like, oh, we're like I don't even know how to describe it, like the clean ones and like the less sinful type. Like, oh, I made it. You know what I mean? So it's like they have nothing to fear because they're like, oh, like my life from here on out is probably going to be bliss because I'm a good person and whatever.
I never make a mistake.
Right. But I was getting like real like Charles Manson vibes or like Jamestown vibes. Like it's obviously Jonestown, thank you. It was again terrible with names.
Jamestown is a very real city in the Northeast. All those people are regular and nice people.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening, you guys. I'll see you. No. But yeah, no, I think that it was just very culty, like clearly. And Arthur really tried to sell it. Like, he was really like, yeah, man, look at us. We're super chill. And, everyone here is super happy. And we're, like, for the greater good and whatevs. But
there
like,
is,
there's an undertone there for sure.
And there is a very clear evil that Layla witnesses. We'll talk about Layla because that's a really good, funny part of this. But towards the end of this, she sees, it seems like Arthur's judging people. And a part of you is like, okay, well, maybe some of these people are future bad or whatever. But Layla sees Arthur just kill a homeless man. Yeah. No judgment at all. No. Just, it's something he needed. So
no, he just was like, cool, bye.
And he kills him. So we kind of knew this going in. We knew that Ethan Hawke's character was going to be
bad guy.
A villain and not like an altruistic leader at all. But it is kind of it is interesting because people would definitely 100% fall for that kind of talk. And I don't know if it's necessarily trying to be a commentary on religion or anything, but
it is.
But it is. Like, there's some pretty harsh judgments that happen in real life, IRL. Well, let's talk about Layla. Okay. So Layla was the mysterious phone call that Steven finds on Mark's phone. Oh boy, I'm doing good with names so far. That Steven finds on Mark's phone. We meet Layla. We find out that Layla is Mark's wife, although wants a divorce, and they seem to be like a Indiana Jones type.
Yeah, like historic.
Yes, she knows about the scarab. She
knows everything.
I thought that moment in this show was really funny when he is Steven and she doesn't believe that
Steven is Steven.
And then, tries to be like, are you jerking me right now? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Until, of course, like the police come and it gets kind of wild. What do you think about Layla? And really, the biggest part that she plays in this is she comes back and rescues Steven later on in the episode.
Right. Okay. So for Layla, I have to admit, like, I was kind of sus at first because, like, I didn't know, like, if she was legit.
You honestly, you just don't trust anyone.
You can't. I really don't. I have trust issues. But her, I like that.
Sophie hasn't given me her phone number yet.
No, we've been together for what, 5 years?
Yeah, I call her
4 years, 3
house
years?
phone. I call her house phone,
Which is really my parents' landline.
Then I ask for
and then
her.
he asks for permission. I have to say that I'm busy or not, whatever. No, but I do love Layla because she kind of gives Steven like this validation of like, look, dude, like you actually are onto something here. Like we got to figure this shit out, whatever. Like, and also because she shares her experiences, like kind of sort of with him. She's like, what about all of the adventures we had together? But clearly she thinks that she's talking to Mark, right? And so it's like this whole thing, but also like she helps Steven put two and two together when it comes to all of this, because of those experiences. And then I also love that she is the one that legit tells him like summon the suit, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, well, Mark usually does this or whatever, like just to help him out even as he's Steven. So yeah, no, she's cool, she's smart, she speaks French, she likes poetry. Like I'm about it. Plus she's gorgeous too, like her curls, stop.
Yeah, and so the character's name fully is Layla El Faouli. It's portrayed by May Calamui. Ooh, I don't know how to say her last name, but she's from Rami, that show on Hulu. So I think we're going to see more of her, I think, in the next episode, because it seems like
I don't think she's going anywhere.
Yeah, I think she's on the side of Steven or Mark, whatever you want to, whatever name you want.
Plus, she touched it.
What?
She touched it.
What?
The little beetle.
Oh, the scarab. Yeah, I was like, touched Mark?
She touched the butt.
She touched the butt. Or she touched it, the clown? Oh, no. It's just a backdoor pilot to it. But yeah, I one of the things, though, that does happen, can't skirt around it much longer, even though this is one of the biggest cliffhangers in this, is she does rescue Steven, but brings the scarab with her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest downfall, because, I mean, at the end of this episode, when we talk about things moving fast, I thought the scarab was going to be a MacGuffin that lasts throughout the entire series, but Arthur has the scarab now.
Yeah.
He's got it.
Yep.
He's taken it to Amit's tomb.
Yeah. He's already on his way.
Done. We're already halfway done with
We're already in a different location.
Yeah.
Totally different city, part of the world.
Wild to think about. But, I mean, and then, yes, of course, that's when Mark and Steven travel to Egypt. That's where he wakes up at the end of this, kind of the birthplace of the lore that kind of builds Moon Knight and all that stuff. But
also, though, Mark is back in charge, too.
Yeah. And it makes sense. There's that deal. I mean, obviously, we know Khonshu's not going to hold up to his side of the bargain, but there's still a lot that I think can definitely happen. But I do feel like, when it comes to Steven, what a fun way to introduce us into the Moon Knight universe, because here's Steven, mild-mannered, not doing so great, has like confidence issues, and loses his job.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be more Steven now at the beginning, and then more of Mark later. Yeah. Like, I thought they were still going to have some more switchy switch time.
And I think that's still, because Steven, I think, is the heart of the show, because Mark is a trained assassin. Yeah, he's he's got all the action. He's
even in this episode, the whole reason why they switched again was because they needed to fight that demon dog thing in the middle of the street.
Really cool. That devil dog is invisible. Yeah, and we kind of see that at the beginning of the ep when they review footage.
Yeah,
but we get like action sequences where even Layla is fighting an invisible.
Yeah, I love that they did that too, because they didn't have to. They could have showed it could have been like, I think we talked about this on the first ep, like how it looks like the little demon things from Scooby-Doo, Monsters Island or Spooky Island. But yeah, no, like they could have gone that route and just plugged it in with CGI, but instead they decided to make it invisible. I guess it's a different use for CGI, but
I know, maybe they're saving money, huh?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what's more expensive.
This other thing is invisible, right? Yeah. In this episode, Oscar Isaac is invisible.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I thought it looked really, really cool.
Yeah, it was really neat, and I think it's just like a fun way to sort of kind of have people somewhat gaslight Mark Spector or Moon Knight
Yeah.
because he can't prove the stuff that he's seeing
that it's happening.
and what's going on. I think that's going to be really really interesting. But yeah, those devil dogs seem to be just something that our Arthur can conjure, and we actually got to see that here. Like he uses his cane, this purple thing opens up, and a devil dog comes out of it. Like who knows what else is in there? But that makes me a little bit more excited for even some Doctor Strange stuff that's going to happen because we saw it in What If, but we know there's other worlds out there and other types of creatures and whatnot. Now this is all inspired, I think, from like Egyptian mythology, but yeah, there's other stuff that can happen, crocodiles, and who knows what's in store for Moon Knight to fight. Well, let's talk about Moon Knight because we get a couple versions of him in this.
Right.
We saw for the first time Steven trying to conjure or quote unquote summon the suit. And he summons Mr. Knight, kind of a dapper
Classy.
white tuxedo guy. Yeah, he's not in the comic books. He's kind of like a detective, and he's actually really popular now. I think maybe just because of the way he looks. And then we also got to see a transformation into Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah.
What do you think about seeing what do you think about seeing kind of the superhero side?
I thought it was really clever for Mr. Knight because Steven was like, "What?" Like he said to summon a suit.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what suit to summon.
No, it's so
it's kind
funny.
of his like it's a new one for him.
I thought he looked classy as hell. Loved it. And then also like seeing like actual Moon Knight for the first time, I thought that was completely breathtaking.
Jumping
like,
around
like,
buildings.
Dang, boy, okay.
Straight up fighting.
Legit, and like literally leaping from building to building. I'm like, how is that even possible? And then also like he shows off his strength a little bit, crushing cars, doing his thing.
Yeah.
I will say the way that fight scene ended with the demon dog on the actual tippy, spoiler alert, like if you haven't seen it, but like why are you listening at this point? No, but with the little spear, like where it was just like just impaled at the top of that building was like, oh my gosh, like the lighting looked so cool, and like the way that the moon was shining on top of it, and then the way that the moon, obviously because it's Moon Knight, right? The way that the moon was just shining in general, like the way that this is edited is just so beautiful, and I'm so fascinated by it. I love it so much. It looks like I'm watching a movie every episode, even like every episode, all 2 episodes that I've watched. Like,
well, it
looks amazing.
It is something to I guess to commend about the show is it feels super cinematic.
It does.
It has a language to the show that no other MCU thing has. I mean, how many reflections can you count in this episode?
Oh my God, insane amounts.
Dozens of them.
And sometimes you don't even recognize them, like in the background.
It's against a car. It's against a shiny wall. It's against
the top of a desk.
It's we're watching it now on a rear view mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is a constant theme.
Thing.
And then also the presence of Khonshu, although it may not be based around
as
horror,
noticeable.
but there are moments. I think there's a moment in the car where we see just some of Khonshu's robes in the wind.
In the wind, yep.
And then it's gone. Like it's not necessarily
it's just to show that he's there.
Yeah, it's to show his presence, and I think that stuff is really cool and not something that I think is going to go away. Like we saw this in episode 1, we saw this in this episode, we see it episode 3, in episode 4, in episode 5 even, and then after that we'll get some in episode 6. Who knows? I mean, at this point, episode 7 might have some, but I like that it has its own distinct language, and I mean we see this in a lot of the shows, but it's nice that this is something we haven't seen before, and even from the movies, like this has its very own kind of distinct thing, which is really
definitely does.
It's really enjoyable, and definitely something to commend. Okay, I want to talk about an Easter egg here, and that is the we've met a giant cast of characters, but someone that we've seen at least in the last 2 episodes that at least Stephen Grant talks to is Crawley, who is the golden robot, the street performer robot that he talks to in the beginning.
Yeah.
He kind of professes to him. I'm sure he has some kind of social anxiety, so he talks to a person that can't talk back, as a just kind of as protection for his emotions or whatever. But Crawley's a very interesting character because he is in the comic books, and he's kind of the eyes and ears of the street. So, I mean, it could just be like a nice homage to have him here, but totally possible.
He moves
Hold on, this might be a spoiler, sorry. But be like a bigger deal later. Is what
Oh,
I'll say.
100%. And you can get that vibe too, because I mean, if you have a character who is literally confessing everything and every thought process that he is having,
Maybe even multiple different personalities visiting him. Yeah.
right? Yeah, like it's gonna be a thing, and he's gonna have some sort of play in all of this. Like, and also like Crawley moves for the first time after Steven comes to a major realization about Mark and about what he should do. So, yeah, that already validated that thought in my head. Like, oh, homeboy's actually listening. Like, he's not just sitting there doing his job, quote unquote job. But yeah, no, it's for sure going to lead to something bigger, for sure.
I'm going to ask you this. Well, what do you think happens now? It seems Arthur has the scarab. He's got a ton of jackals he can summon from the ground or whatever. It is really interesting to think about what Moon Knight's plan is. I mean, it's pretty like obvious, right? He's going to stop
Well,
Arthur from using the scarab, or what do you think happens next?
Well, I know that Mark Spector is concerned about doing the final mission, whoever he's trying to murder, kill, or bring to justice, however you want to phrase it, for Kanju because of Layla. Like, Kanju has already explained, and Mark already knows, that he wants his next avatar to be Layla. So I think that Mark S. Might be just. I don't know if he's like procrastinating or if he's just like avoiding it, because there are like some moments where I think that Mark has his own like agenda just based off of the conversations that he has with Steven. So I have a feeling that like some shit's gonna hit the fan just between those two characters, Kanju and Mark. But I mean, yeah, like I guess realistically, like he does have to get it back from Arthur, and he does need to whatever Arthur's trying to release, because he is an avatar. So whatever he is trying to do or whatever his mission is, obviously is something much bigger, and I don't think Kanji wants it to happen. So there's probably going to be like some sort of major battle going on between the two gods, and also the two avatars, just to see what actually what's gonna go down. Like there always is gonna be like a huge fight scene, right? So that's probably gonna happen. I think we said before that like episode 5 is the one that's normally the turning point for everything. So probably Ep 5 is gonna be that major battle, or some shit's gonna hit the fan.
For sure. I mean, I'm looking forward to the change in setting. I think that's gonna be one of the.
Egypt is gonna be so cool.
Egypt's gonna be really cool. The director, I'm gonna read his name, Mohammed Diab. He said that he's also the executive producer of the entire series. That he's excited to kind of bring this series to Egypt and portray Egypt in a kind of a genuine way, and have them be in Giza next to the pyramids, but also not make it just seem like everyone there is like a foreigner, because that happens a lot in
yes.
mostly action films, I would have to say. Like they hire a tour guide so they could find a thing, and then it kind of seems like this crazy foreign land. But he said he wanted to portray all of the people, really the Egyptians, just as like regular people, as if it's just a setting, and I'm excited for that. But also, he did promise some really big themes and topics explored in the show.
Yeah.
So far, this is a lot of setup. I don't necessarily think we've seen it yet, but I mean, obviously there's the big judgment thing and maybe the allusions to religion and whether you're going to heaven or hell or whatever. But I think we're going to see a little bit more depth, I think, to the series that we're only now going to discover.
There's definitely like morals, right? And like, I want to say that there's a lot of like mental health that has already been addressed, just because Steven at first was like struggling with his sleep habits and like trying to figure out his whole like personality or split personality thing.
And to be honest, Arthur, the bad guy in the series, is the most empathetic to him, because he's like, oh, I actually researched about what's going on. He's like, oh, I get it. And he's maybe the kindest person to him, even
even though he has bad intentions.
Even though he's bad, but he's the most understanding. Apart, I mean, he got fired from his job.
I don't know if that's like manipulation though.
It probably is. It probably is.
I don't think it's genuine.
But I mean, you can see the code switch that happens. That almost works, I guess.
Almost, yeah.
For Steven.
Until Layla shows up, and then she's like, "Oh, here you go, I have it." Yeah. Anyway, but no, yeah, I think that like mental health, and like also because his boss and his job was so like straightforward with like, oh, here's like a hospital you can go to, and oh, I think you need some help, and oh, I know that things have been really hard for you.
They're kind of pushing it off, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's something that's that was addressed early on, but now that Steven understands what's actually going on with him, like he's not necessarily like quote unquote crazy, or like he doesn't have some sort of like actual mental health thing that he has to deal with. Like it's more of like, oh, just kidding, it's just an Egyptian god. Like
Yeah.
it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's a recognition for sure, and I think that that's what is going to be kind of his power, really.
Yeah.
Being able to switch to the personality that, that is helpful. But yeah, I think they're going to explore that a lot more. I think one of the most problematic parts about the comic books early on was everything was just labeled schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And that wasn't necessarily what, kind of dissociative personalities, what's actually happening to him. So a lot of times in the older books, they were just like, he's a schizo or whatever. And it wasn't necessarily the correct label and stuff. So it's going to be interesting how they address this going forward. But I think they've done a great job of being, really nuanced and not having some kind of weird outsider look at this that it could have. But yeah, I mean, what's gonna be really wild, I think, is to see full episodes as Mark or Steven is kind of the eyes of the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
But I mean, gosh, we're gonna see Mark, we're gonna see Steven, we're gonna see everyone really together.
I'm ready for more action too. Like so far, like the action, the small bits of action, that we've been getting have been exciting and also like very led by Kanju and like what's best for the mission, quote unquote.
And he's fighting a lot of jackals.
Yeah,
a lot of devil dogs.
A lot of devil dogs. So I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in Egypt, just because I'm pretty sure like it's gonna be elevated to like a whole other level.
And we haven't really.
I'm ready to see him jump off with some pyramids.
I know. We haven't really seen much outside of Moon Knight's just like physical prowess as the superpower. But there's other stuff that he can do. He's got straight up weapons, And we actually do see some of that in this ep. But there's more. I guess, unique fighting styles for Moon Knight that we're gonna see coming down the lane, and we may see Ethan Hawke, do his thing too. We don't know yet, because we so far we just see like a judgment cane, and then him just destroying a homeless person on the street.
Also, I don't think Layla went to Egypt, did she?
We don't know, actually.
I don't think I don't know if she's there or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think she is.
I mean, I'm sure she's gonna have to show up there at some point if she's not she's not there, but I don't know if she's currently there with him. Yeah. So,
well, let us know what you thought of this episode, because I'm sure you're watching it. I'm sure there's stuff we've missed, and I think there's other things that I think you're excited for. But I think we're both looking forward to episode 3 for sure.
Of course.
And I've been really happy with the lengths of these episodes too. What do you think? These are not like they're not jipping us. These are full on 48 50-minute episodes.
Yeah, and then I still feel like I want more afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, "Oh, wait. No." Like what? Hang on. Like I want to know what's going to happen next. It's not too much dialogue. It's not too much action. It's like really exciting, and I mean, I think it's just because it feels so refreshing and so new, and also like the cast is incredible.
Yeah,
and, everything's like now starting to come together already in episode 2, and I think that's probably why I feel so like, oh damn, like I want more, because it is moving kind of quickly as a series. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be really fun, and I think that there's I mean, just the fact that we kind of understand what the stakes are now means that there's probably another layer that we're going to find out later.
For sure.
Yeah, if it feels quick, it normally is because we're not even halfway through.
Especially with Marvel.
They're not telling us they're not even telling us what the real plan is yet. But that's what's really exciting. Well, we've come to the end of this episode. Sophia, what do you have to plug?
Just the same old stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the pod. And if you want to support us even more, you sure can. Please go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/delphinpod, DELFINPOD. And then if you want to follow me on any of my personal socials, you sure can. Everything's going to be at _simply Sophie, SOFIEE. That's me.
Support the pod. Listen to all of our shows. We'll be back next week with another episode on the newest episode of Moon Knight. I will want to plug something that may not need plugs, but we watched a movie yesterday, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was so good.
Yes.
It's an A24 film written and directed by the Daniels, a pair of really fantastic filmmakers, produced by Joe and Anthony Russo, who were the directors of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So that's kind of the Marvel connection here. But it stars Michelle Yeoh, Hugh Kwan, Stephanie Sue, and then if Jamie Lee Curtis is in this, James Hong. But it was so good, and it's full of all the multiversal stuff, but with a purpose.
And it's so deep.
It's so deep.
Oh, God.
Go watch the movie. It's
I cried.
not in super wide release yet, but you can find it in most major cities.
Yes.
Watch it. I think if you're a fan of Marvel, you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's like filmed beautifully.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable, and especially if you are a big fan of like action, sci-fi,
yeah.
really like good sci-fi
it's
stuff.
It's really creative, really amazing.
Fantastic. And maybe you'll learn a little bit about your life too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Put things into perspective.
I mean, like literally put everything
into perspective.
And by everything we mean literally everything. Put everything in the world in perspective.
Yeah.
All right. We'll watch that movie and we'll see you next week.
All right, bye.
Bye.